There's a moment every man hits, usually around 43, where he walks into his garage late at night and quietly tells himself, I think I'm doing alright. His paycheck is the biggest it's ever been. His job title is the longest it's ever been. His kid just made the travel sports team. By every visible sign, this looks like winning. But here's the part nobody tells him. The decade that looks like the victory lap is actually the decade that quietly drains retirement. Root is here today to walk through every financial trap the 40s silently set. These aren't obvious mistakes. They're traps dressed up as rewards. Let's get into all 8 of them. Trap 1: The peak earnings illusion. Government labor data shows men's median earnings peak between ages 45 and 54. Your brain reads that as the new normal. So spending rises to match it. Industry data shows the average savings rate sits around just 14%, which means 86% of peak income gets consumed in real time by a lifestyle built around that paycheck. The median retirement account balance for workers aged 45 to 54 is just $67,796. That's the middle number. Half of all working men in their 40s have less than that saved at peak income with 20 years on the clock. The paycheck looks like wealth. The lifestyle looks like success. But the balance sheet quietly tells a very different story. The income is real. The lifestyle is visible. But the financial foundation underneath is fragile. The 40s are designed, by culture, by advertising, by everything around us, to convert income into stuff instead of into freedom. The garage looks impressive. The bank account does not. And the first piece of stuff that does the most long-term damage is something sitting in that same garage. Trap 2: The status truck. The average transaction price for a full-size pickup in late 2025 crossed $66,000. Around 84% of new pickup buyers are men, and the average buyer is in his late 40s to mid-50s. He uses it to drive 14 miles to a desk job. He hauls something in the bed maybe twice a year, a Christmas tree and a single bag of mulch. The commercials show job sites. The reality shows a suburban driveway. A standard new truck loan runs about 7 years at $900 a month, over $75,600 in payments alone. Add insurance on a vehicle priced like it might commit a felony, fuel costs for something getting 19 miles per gallon on a good day, and regular maintenance, and the total cost over 7 years clears $90,000 conservatively. A used reliable sedan at $20,000 could have handled that same commute just fine. The truck is not a transportation decision. It's a retirement decision wearing chrome. Take that $70,000 difference between the truck and a used sedan, invested at a 7% real return, and by age 65 it's worth around $271,000. The sticker says $66,000. But the actual price, measured in retirement money quietly handed over in monthly installments during the exact decade it was needed most, is closer to $250,000. The chrome looks great in the driveway. The compound interest chart does not. Trap 3: The youth sports money trap. Family spending on youth sports jumped 46% in just 5 years. The average parent now spends over $1,100 per child annually on their primary sport. For families in travel programs, that number jumps to $3,000 to $5,000 per year. At the elite level, it can reach $25,000 per child per season. Hockey families alone average $2,583 just for one kid to play one sport for 1 year. The love behind this spending is completely legitimate. Wanting great things for your child is real. But there's a lie sitting underneath the math. A survey of youth sports parents found 49% believed their child would earn an athletic scholarship. The actual NCAA data shows roughly 2% of high school athletes receive any scholarship at all, and most of those are partial. That's a 49% confidence rate chasing a 2% outcome. That's not a college savings plan. That's a casino with team jerseys. Run the numbers: $5,000 a year for 12 years of competitive youth sports equals $60,000 out of pocket. Put that same $5,000 annually into an investment at 7% return and you'd have $89,000 by the time the child graduates high school. Leave that untouched until age 65 and it compounds to over $280,000. The scholarship never arrived. Retirement quietly got smaller. And the kid still has to go to college anyway. Trap 4, the whole life insurance pitch. Somewhere in your 40s, someone will invite you to lunch. It might be an old friend who moved into financial services. It might be a contact from a networking event. It might be your partner's cousin, the most dangerous version because now declining becomes a holiday conflict. What they will pitch is permanent life insurance, whole life, cash value, infinite banking, IUL. Different names. Same product wearing different hats. A healthy 40-year-old man can get a 20-year term life policy with a $500,000 death benefit for about $334 per year. That exact same coverage through whole life costs around $6,387 per year. That's roughly 19 times more expensive for the identical payout to the identical family, underwritten on the same body. The death benefit doesn't change. The cost multiplies by 19. The pitch says, it builds cash value, it's an investment, it's tax advantaged. Here's what actually happens. The first several years of premiums go almost entirely to the agent's commission and the insurance company's expense load. The cash value crawls forward at a pace that would embarrass a basic savings account. And if you ever cancel the policy, the company keeps the death benefit because they're a business and that's how the product is structured. Buy the $334 term policy instead. Take the $6,000 annual difference and drop it into a low-cost SP 500 index fund every year for 20 years at 7% real return. That's roughly $248,000 sitting in your account, liquid, fully yours, requiring no permission slip from any insurance company to access. The whole life pitch was never a financial plan. It was a commission check wearing a tie and carrying a brochure. Trap 5, the garage full of depreciation. The median boat owner in this country is 54 years old. RV ownership peaks in the 35 to 54 age bracket, with 11% of households in that range owning one. A new midsize travel trailer runs $40,000 to $60,000. A new base boat runs $50,000 to $80,000. A halfway decent fishing setup with a center console can clear six figures without really trying. These assets don't just cost what you paid up front. They depreciate roughly 50% in the first 5 years. Then come storage fees, insurance, launch costs, dock fees, winterizing, registration, fuel, and repairs. The boating community has a saying that is one of the most honest things any group has ever said about itself: the two happiest days of a boat owner's life are the day he buys it and the day he sells it. A $50,000 boat over 5 years, with depreciation, maintenance, slip fees, and insurance factored in, quietly costs another $50,000 on top of what you paid. Invest that same amount at 7% through to age 65 and it grows to roughly $190,000. The boat doesn't owe you anything. But it's silently borrowing from your retirement every single year it sits in that garage. Trap 6, the portfolio ego. A landmark study tracked the trading behavior of 35,000 households at a discount brokerage. Men traded 45% more than women and earned annual risk-adjusted returns 1.4 percentage points lower. Single men traded 67% more than single women and underperformed by 2.3 percentage points annually. That gap, compounded over 25 years, amounts to roughly 22% less wealth at retirement from doing more. Working harder at the portfolio. Getting paid less for it. The 40s make this trap worse because now there's real money to act on. At 20, the same psychological pattern might cost $1,400. At 40, it's running on $180,000 and a strong opinion about lithium stocks. Same instinct. More zeros. More damage. The urge to do something with the portfolio is the exact thing quietly destroying it. Then there's sports betting, the same trap wearing a team jersey. The legal U.S. sports betting handle in 2024 topped $147 billion. Net better losses hit $13.7 billion, up 25% in a single year. A 2026 survey found that 52% of men aged 18 to 49 now have an active sportsbook on their phone. Half of working-age men. $20 a week sounds harmless. That's $1,000 a year. At 7% return over 20 years, $43,000 gone. Not life-changing. But it's a used car. It's most of a wedding. It's a week of retirement income at 70. Quick pause before the final traps, because the numbers deserve a moment. If a 45-year-old avoided every single trap covered so far, kept the old car, declined the whole life pitch, skipped the boat dealer, indexed the portfolio, stayed off the sportsbook, and invested that money instead, he would retire with somewhere north of an extra $1 million. From inaction. From simply not buying things. That's the power sitting on the table right now. Trap 7: The Forever Mortgage. You're 45. The house feels cramped. The family is growing. A bigger one is on the market. The rate isn't ideal, but the vision is real. So you sign a fresh 30-year mortgage. Do you see what just happened? You have agreed to make house payments until you are 75 years old. You have signed up to walk into retirement still owing the bank money on a house you bought in middle age. Or worse, you do a cash-out refinance. Or you open a HELOC. Average HELOC balances hit roughly $45,000 in 2024, and over $400 billion in HELOC balances are currently outstanding nationwide. Families are pulling equity out of their homes to fund kitchen renovations, truck purchases, vacations, tuition, and occasional business ideas that don't work out. They are converting an appreciating asset, the home, into depreciating ones. That's not smart refinancing. That's a very expensive yard sale. Trap 8: The Catch-Up Delusion. Here's what the internal voice says in a man's 40s: I haven't saved enough yet, but I'm at peak earnings now. I'll really pile it in over the next 20 years. I have time. I'll catch up. Let's do that math honestly, with no judgment, just the real numbers. You're 45. You have the median $68,000 saved. Starting today, you max out your retirement account every single year, no skipped years, no early withdrawals, employer match included. You invest in a low-cost index fund at 7% real return after inflation. By 65, you'd have roughly $1.27 million. Sounds solid, right? In today's dollars, adjusted for inflation, that's about $700,000. Standard retirement guidance says you need 10 times your salary saved by age 67. For someone earning $100,000, that's $1 million in today's money. Even doing absolutely everything right starting today, you're still short. That's not a punchline. That's just the math. And every year you delay starting is a year of compounding you can never get back. The good news is real, and Root wants you to hear it. Doing the math now gives you actual options. Work a few more years. Downsize the house. Skip the boat. Redirect that whole life premium into an index fund. You have levers. The 40s aren't doomed, they're just leveraged. Every decision you make has a bigger effect in both directions because the time horizon is shorter and the income is bigger. Don't buy the truck. Don't sign the 30-year mortgage at 50. Don't hand your retirement to a sportsbook. And don't pretend the catch-up math fixes itself. The trap isn't being behind. The trap is pretending you're not.